One Piece chapter 1187 is here, and it was an excellent chapter. We've been getting some really good character stuff lately, far more than I think, especially for the Straw Hats, far more than we've gotten in a while, between the Brook flashback that added a lot to his character. I think both Zoro and Sanji have gotten some really good scenes in this chapter, and it looks like more to come. There's also some sidelining happening with other characters, but I'm excited about what we have. So the chapter starts off with Luffy just coming out of nowhere and laying into Loki, sending him flying back. It's so funny to me because, not Loki, his name is Emu. It's so funny to me because previously Emu was taunting Loki or expositing. He was yapping. He was giving some context. He was monologuing a little bit. And Loki's like, "What are you talking about?" And then Luffy comes in from absolutely nowhere. Loki just has this shocked face of like, what is going on? Now, Luffy does tell Loki, "Hey man, take a break." And Loki is very offended at that. And I just feel like, even though I understand, because Loki has quite a bit of pride, but at the same time, my friend, you were stabbed very recently. You are actually proper injured, so it's not a bad plan for you to take a break, but he won't. I wonder how that'll turn out. Emu, as he's flying back, is already preparing himself for the next attack, is already sending out his little personality-filled flames that I guess turn into homing beacons for his missiles that he's shooting out, or his sword that he can make hit exactly where the flames have set the target to be. It's a really cool skill, and there's a part of me that's like, Emu, why weren't you using that earlier when you were yapping? But at the same time, I like that he has so many tricks up his sleeve. I like that when Emu is here in person, still we haven't worn out all that he can do. He has this massive bag full of tricks that we keep building on, and I don't know where it ends, but he sends these flames at them, and they attach themselves to both Loki and Luffy. And the flames even have a conversation with each other about where they're meant to go. They have their orders. We're meant to go to his chest. That way, that way Loki's attack will hit him right in the chest, right where he's already been hit. We're reopening the wounds that have barely even begun to heal. I mean, I don't even know. He needs more time before we stab him in the chest again. This attack is super interesting too because it looks like a sword, it stabs through him like a sword, yet it also knocks him back like a lot. So each of his attacks has been explosive. As he's throwing things at the ice block, as he's throwing things at people, they keep exploding. And so it's interesting to me that it seems like that is primarily what his attacks are all based around. Even if it manifests as a sword, it's still going to be somewhat explosive. It's not just going to stab you through and then make you fall. It's actually going to propel you backward quite a way. Someone in my Discord, someone on my Patreon, when I was doing this, my chapter reaction, said, Why is Jinbei wheezing over fighting a block of ice? Oh, it cracked me up because Jinbei has been so underutilized in this arc. Like, why isn't he fighting Zaza? Why wasn't he doing more? I mean, he did get to use some water, but that cracked me up. Anyway, so they're fighting the block of ice and it's doing nothing, and then Loki happens to fall on the block of ice, and then Ragnar happens to fall on the block of ice, and now the block of ice is melted. I gotta be honest, this whole plot point, I don't get why we did it. You know, like, it seemed more built up than this. Gunko is frozen in the block of ice. It's established that only Ragnar can unfreeze her. And then Emu tries to explode her out of the block of ice. Doesn't work. The Straw Hats get built up like, yeah, we're gonna figure this out. We will stand by you, Brook. Yes, we will try to get Princess Shuri free so you can give her one last chance. And then, like, we don't even show them trying to do it. We just cut to them being like, we couldn't do it. And then, by coincidence, Ragnar falls on the ice and then it melts. Like, I don't get the point of the buildup of this if it's not actually going to be a proper plot point to get her unfrozen. It's just going to be coincidence, like, it happened. But what we did get out of this was one of the best gags that we've gotten in a while. Oh, it got me both times when they were like, why is it so strong? Why can't we make this ice block melt? and Brooke goes, but if I touch it, it feels cold. Or at least I imagine it would. This one cracked me up because Brooke is so serious in the last chapter. He's like, I need to save Princess Shuri. I need to give her one more chance. Crew, will you stand by me? Will you help me? And then they try and they're like, ah, shucks, can't help you. And he's just like, I assume this would be cold. Why? Other than just Brooke being absolutely ridiculous all the time. Like, it is cold. Yeah, I would think that if I weren't a skeleton. Only for Frankie then to step up and be like, wait, he's got a point. If I touch it, and I'm like, oh, okay, so it is cold. It's super ice. Then I realized it was Frankie that was doing it. And he can't feel it either. Yeah, no, I can't tell you. It's been a while since one of Oda's gags has hit me this hard. You know, I don't think it has been since Luffy's scars got blown off of him. Maybe that's not true. I think there was another one recently that I really liked. Anyway, it's been a minute, so that was delightful. So Ragnar started melting the ice. My patrons did point out to me that the hammer has fallen near Usopp, and I guess people have been talking about Usopp wielding Ragnar because making good on his 100-ton hammer lie, which is an interesting thought. I don't know how that would work, though, because to me, Loki's not down and out. I mean, he appears to be so, but he's a manga character. So one stab, 4 stabs in a 24-hour period. But seriously, we've spent so much time building up Loki, building up the anticipation of him, spending a lot of time in our world, a lot of chapters, getting him free, and then the big long backstory for him. Oda's put a lot of footwork into Loki, and so the idea of him then finally getting into a fight only to be knocked aside pretty quickly and then be out for the rest of the fight, it would surprise me. It would surprise me. So I don't really see any reason why Usopp would pick up the hammer, especially since Ragnar is loyal to Loki. And historically, Ragnar doesn't just allow him, doesn't allow himself to just be wielded by whoever. He seems kind of picky about who he chooses. Plus, Ragnar is currently in squirrel form. I mean, he hit the ice, got knocked aside, and then went into squirrel form and went creepy, which of course, I mean, he could go back to hammer form anytime he wanted, but I don't know. All I'm saying is I don't see why Usopp would pick up the hammer. So we'll see. Not why as in there's no threat for Usopp to pick up a hammer and fight against, but why as in I don't see the narrative precedent for Ragnar being wielded by anyone but Loki, unless Loki actually is just down and out. But I don't think he is. Like, he might be stalled for a couple of chapters, but I expect he's entering back into the fight. Anyway, good job, Luffy, paying attention to what happened to Loki and figuring out, okay, I can't do anything with this fire. I can't get it off of me, but I clearly need to, so I'm getting rid of my cloak and then dodging. That was pretty brilliant. That's quick thinking, because it appears to me as if Imu's attacks are pretty abrupt. Like, the flame gets in place, okay, you're already hit, because it was that fast. It seemed that fast for Loki. As soon as the flame got to where Loki, where it wanted to be with Loki, the jet hit him, and neither Loki nor Luffy responded. So Imu's moves are they're happening so fast that Luffy really had to do some quick thinking, quick deduction. That's our boy. This is my favorite part of the chapter, and it's a great chapter for many reasons. But Summers and Zoro just like trash talking each other, hyping up their own, being like, you can't do anything about me. Oh yeah? Well, I got one that will be doing something about your pal. I do love that Summers is still so obtuse to like basic human emotion. He's like, whatever, it's 10 or 20 brats, who cares, replace them. I don't think he meant it like that, but he's just like, whatever, we'll take care of this, we'll be out of your hair, it's not even that big of a deal, who cares if you lose a few kids, no problem. Anyway, Zoro's response, fancy that, My companion just went toward the village, so my guess is that yours ain't coming back. Oh, it's such a good line. I love the relationship between Zoro and Sanji. Constantly antagonistic, constantly bickering, insulting, belittling one another. As Sanji's going off, Zoro's like, don't mess this up. But then he turns around and he looks at Summers and he's like, my companion? I'm not worried about a thing. Cut back to Zaza, who looks incredible. I'll say it again. I love Oda's drawing the displacement of the water. If she raises her hand like this, then the water, there's a gap in her fingers where the water has sloshed downward, and then she moves her arm and it moves in another direction. I love all the little details that he put into Zaza. Every time Zaza's on the screen, on the page, I'm thrilled because of the way he's drawn her, all of the little details around her, everything that just kind of looks like a water droplet, but especially the way the water moves around in her hands and her arms as she's kidnapping children and murdering giants. Sanji, over here, is watching the whole kerfuffle. He just lights up a cigarette and he's like, we need to assess the situation. We have some problems. There's children being kidnapped. Unfortunately, I won't be saving them. There's women crying over their kidnapped children. That's pretty tough for me. I'd like to fix that, but there's a woman that I have to hit, even though she's a fictional dream woman, that I have to hit in order to stop the women from wailing. I got nothing. Problem 3. It's basically the same as problem 2. I don't like the wailing of the women. I don't like the tears. But, you know, here we are again. Can't fight Zaza. Turn the page. You're the root of the problem. The giants might lose sight of you, but you can't escape from me. See, this is great for Sanji because I lost sight too. You know, like you turn, even though Zoro was just talking to Summers about killing him and about Sanji taking him down, you turn the page and Zaza's so imposing. She's so attention grabbing. She's got the wailing children, the wailing mothers, the men that are being flown to bits. And you're like, okay, this is the problem. We have to deal with this. Like, I'm losing sight as well, even though I was just reminded of what Sanji's goal actually is. But Sanji has not lost sight. Partially because he doesn't have a choice, because he can't hit women. He should have a talk with Zeph again about like, hey, when you were like beating that principle into me as a child, is it okay if we compromise if it's like a dream? You think, what if she's not real? What if children's lives are in the balance and she's being controlled by an evil man? Like, is it cool then? But it doesn't matter. Zeph made sure that Sanji will never flinch on this ideal. He made sure with his foot in Sanji's face, you will not hit a woman, and he's sticking to it. Anyway, so Sanji turns on Killingham, the real root of the problem, and honestly, like, good, because if Sanji had fought Zaza, I don't know how far that would have gotten. First of all, you're fighting a nightmare. Second of all, you're using your flame foot to fight a water creature. Really, taking out Killingham is what needs to happen here. Flashback. So I knew we had to come back to this, right? When Gaban said something to Sanji and it got cut off, I knew we had to come back here in order for Sanji to actually get Conqueror's Haki, which he needs to get in order to defeat Killingham, which is what we need in this moment. You should have the potential for it. However, in your case, for some reason, you possess a streak of masochistic instability. You must be a king too if you truly want to make Luffy the king of the pirates. So Sanji has been through so much in life, right? Like, he has, even as a little child, even though he had Zeph, suffered so much before that and after that with his biological father, with his family as a whole, with the experimentation, with watching his mother die. So much of Sanji's arc, especially with Judge, I forgot it for a second, especially with Judge, he's gone through so much that has made him feel less than, that's made him feel worthless. And that's essentially what masochistic instability would be talking about. It's this desire to not accept anything loving or anything good, any sort of kindness or healthy sort of relationship, a tendency to self-sabotage due to a deeply ingrained feeling of worthlessness. And that's absolutely true of Sanji. So I knew we had to come back around to this conversation with Sanji and Kaban. I knew that Sanji had to get the color of the Supreme King. It had to happen, but I kind of just expected it to happen, like it so often does. But it being tied into his character, it being tied into his character growth is excellent. Once again, we don't get the same kind of focus on the Straw Hats that we used to do, and I miss it, and I complain about that frequently. It was one of my biggest complaints about Egghead Island, is that we really just got almost no Straw Hat focus. And while there are still sections that I think are unsatisfying, like the ice block, where for some reason everybody had to gang up on this ice block, and even that was off-paged, only for it to be like, yeah, we'll do it. Oh, we couldn't do it. Done. You know, like, it was like we were just trying to keep everybody busy instead of it being like a meaningful plot point. So there definitely is still this dynamic of Oda focuses on a couple of characters and then just kind of like finds something to keep everybody else busy, which I don't love. But when we do get that focus on those characters, like on Brook, like on Sanji, great. I couldn't be happier. So if we're going to see Sanji actually have to go through some personal growth and some personal healing in order to be able to access the color of the Supreme King so that he can fight Killingham, great. It's definitely happening. It's definitely happening in the next couple chapters. It has to happen, I think. Now that it's been brought up, now that it's been explored, and now that it's been tied to Luffy. The way Oda formatted this is, if you truly want to make Luffy the king of the pirates, and the ending of that cuts to Luffy getting ready to hit Emu again while declaring, I'm Luffy, the man who will be king of the pirates. It's like a promise. It's like Oda making us, he reveals what Sanji really needs to do, and then he makes the promise it's going to happen because he needs to do this if he's going to support Luffy's dream. And look at Luffy. He's going to have that dream. He's going to be the king of the pirates. Now, as excited as I am about Sanji's awakening here of the Supreme King Haki, of the color of the Supreme King, but as excited as I am about this, because of the character growth that it means, the fight that I'm actually really excited about is still Luffy, Emu, and hopefully Loki as well, because I feel like this is too soon. There's so many things. Like, we have Gear 5th Luffy facing off against Emu in chapter 1187. I thought we would have to wait a lot longer for stuff like this, but here we are. It's happening now, and it's interesting that that Emu keeps calling Luffy by the wrong names, but it's not consistent. This time he calls him Joy Boy. And while I don't think that this fight will be completed here, I don't think Luffy's gonna defeat Emu in Elbaf. This Oda's still also giving us, I think, he's building this up as if like something is still to come. We're not diffusing the situation just yet, because look at the titles that he has here. Saint Nerona Emu versus Monkey D. Luffy, with the special font for each of them, the big verses in between, the king of the world, the emperor of the sea. It's like, it's so dramatic. It's like, here we go, guys. It's happening. So if Oda does all of that, and the next chapter he's like, Emu has to leave, his time's up, we will have words, Oda. Anyway, no break. I'm so excited. Let's keep reading. Chat with me more in the comments. Talk to me about the stuff that you want to talk about in this chapter, things that I didn't talk about, things that you have a different opinion on. Chat about it all in the comments. I'd love to keep talking with you there. I'll see you again soon. Bye.